Yeah, I just want to mention it's kind of interesting that so the top 4 of this tournament, actually, 3 of the top 4 are kind of newer runners to the scene. So if there's any of you guys out there that are watching this and are like, hey, maybe I could do that, about a year ago, I think all of us started. So, and then here we are playing 100%. So, meanwhile, they're getting started here in 1-1. So, Mitch once again choosing to grab the mushroom here. Meanwhile, Zikubi, running through the stage without the mushroom. A little bit of time difference there. It is a little faster to grab the mushroom in 1-3 versus that level, but as I mentioned previously, it's pretty negligible time difference, and definitely much safer to get the mushroom there.
It looks like Zikubi was able to pull off the finicky 1-2 P-speed strat. It requires just running up at the base of both hills in the beginning just ever so slightly in order to start building your meter. And you'll know the strat works when you get 6 filled arrows as you cross over the first horizontal pipe, in which case you'll have liftoff by the time you reach the end of the second pipe. 1 second, so it's a nice bonus to have, but if you don't get it, it's really not a huge deal.
Yeah, it looks like Zikubi, unfortunately, not getting some P-speed there. Looks like he just didn't get a good enough height on that jump, unfortunately. So Mitch gained a little bit of time back there. About half a second between the two, it looks like. Yeah, World 1 Hammer Bro deciding to have a little bit of effect on the outcome right now. As I always tell everybody, if you're gonna have bad RNG and a Hammer Bro, you take it in World 1 all day long.
It's just that one bro to deal with, and he's moving along a pretty narrow path, so it's not like you'll have to really worry about in Marathon since he's not overlapping with any other bros on the screen.
So yeah, this is pretty much objectively the best level in the game. I mean, it auto-scrolls, you get a tail, there are 1-ups in it, there are a lot of coins, there are blocks everywhere. I mean, what more do you want in a level? You can also change the color of the blocks.
I'm always endlessly amused just watching the task of level 1-4 when you just have P-speed throughout the whole level and you're just juggling the shell against every block.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good point. You got the little shell footballs that you can play around with too.
Okay, gonna do it every time.
Right? So here we are in the fortress in World 1. This is a much easier level to get through fairly quickly in this category than it is in pretty much any other category. However, it's actually really hard to do this level optimally in 100%. It's much harder than the leaf grab strat, actually, that you see in Warpless.
Mitch got a really early Hammer Bro fight, so he's able to pick up the Fire Flower if he wanted. Wouldn't really matter anyway, since he's going to be damage boosting down this hill as we speak. So, looks like he's deciding to hold on to it.
Yeah, you want to keep on to it, actually. You don't, as we mentioned, last race, you don't really lose much time there. And he's going for the fire tunnel and gets the rare fire tunnel. So the cool thing about getting that early fire grab there is you're always guaranteed a good Larry pattern when you get it early. So, it's definitely something you want to hang on to as a result. So yeah, able to maintain it here through World 1, so pretty nice RNG there coming out from Mitch. So he's going to take a little bit of a lead here as a result of that. Unfortunately, Zikubi's Hammer Bro giving him a few extra movements there. So Mitch actually, that RNG is, if you do everything optimally, it's basically the second best RNG you can get.
Even then, it looks like they're only like 1 or 2 seconds apart, so there's going to be plenty of other opportunities where the race could swing, so definitely looking forward to seeing what else transpires.
Probably not World 2, though, the good old World 2, the nice break from the stress.
There's 2 Hammer Bros in World 2, and they're spaced pretty far apart, so it's very, very rare that they would really have a chance to overlap each other and give you a lot more extra movements than necessary.
Yeah, I think this with standard no marathons anyway. There's about a 6-second or so swing in RNG in World 2. After it's about 4 seconds in World 1.
Even if either racer got the early hammer bro in World 2, they're gonna be using it to break the rock to get to the fire bro anyway. So it's not like they would have the opportunity to save time by skipping 2 extra levels.
Yeah, that's a good point, and also you don't get to remove the hammer bro movements either, since you do have those whistle bros at the end. So ideally, you don't want to get early hammer. Actually, it's weird. I know in 2-1 last race, Zikubi had a little mistake here, so we'll see if he cleans that up a little bit here. 2-1 can be a little finicky at times, so Mitch actually doing the D-leg strat there to save some additional frames that you have to use when you're going for the early hammer manipulation and warpless.
So it looks like Zikubi was also able to get the P-speed strat as well.
So yeah, he's ahead of his pace in the last run, and obviously his last run ended up pretty good. So, and we're on our way to 2-2. One of the few stages of the game where you really don't see P-speed in. You can get P-speed. The easiest way is to damage boost, but you can actually do without damage boosting, but it's really, really difficult. So pretty much nobody goes for it.
I've yet to witness anyone who's actually performed that.
JF actually goes for it. He's like the only person I ever see go for it, and it's only if his World 1 time's above a certain time.
I've only seen the damage boost strat, so I'll actually have to watch a playback of that later. Meanwhile, we are on 2F. The trickiest part of that fort is just right in the beginning because you have an opportunity to gain that early P-speed on the lower level. It's easier said than done because that floor is just littered with a bunch of dry bones, so it requires some really small meticulous jumps, just enough to clear them while allowing yourself as much surface space on the ground as you can to start building that meter. And while the time save is small, it's still worth going for since it's a relatively low risk strat. You just want to avoid stomping too many of these dry bones throughout that section, so or else it'll just never build P-speed in time to carry it up the pipe.
Yeah, we saw a little difference in the strats they did there. Mitch getting the earliest P-speed there, so saving probably an additional quarter second or so from that, but Zikubi getting pretty early P-speed as well.
3 was a pretty good exercise in terms of measuring your medium jumps, and you just want to stay on the lower end of those pyramid platforms to build the meter, and then carefully time the height of your jumps so that you can stomp those fake blocks on your way to the far end of the level. So as soon as you kick the shelf, you can start breaking the blocks, and then you could just immediately position yourself right over the pipe, so you can just hold down and then exit as soon as the path is fully cleared for you.
The Angry Sun level. So probably, if you're not familiar with the speedrun of the game and you only played this as a kid, this was probably one of your least favorite levels, but if you do the same jumps there in this level, you pretty much can always avoid the sun. It's actually easier to go faster through that level because the sun's position on the screen doesn't change. So if you stop, his position is going to stay the same. So it's actually easier to avoid him when you have more speed.
As long as you're on those bottom rows of blocks scattered throughout the level, you really don't have to worry about him coming in contact with you. So in 2.5, the strat is it basically just entails being able to make really small meticulous jumps while avoiding the obstacles that are in your way, including those chain chomps that are right out of the gate and the Koopas later on. Interestingly, the chain chomps don't always charge at you the same way each time, so it is on a pattern, so every once in a while you'll get unlucky and it'll appear right in front of your face as you're avoiding those first 2 wooden blocks. Fortunately, there are no levels in World 2 past the fort that require a flower, so even if you do take damage, it's not the end of the world as long as you maintained it through the first 3 levels of the world.
Mitch having a little trouble in 2-4 here. Is one of the tougher levels in World 2 here, so Pretty common to make a mistake there, but it's good that he wasn't, or he didn't take damage, or he didn't take a death, because usually when you make a mistake in that level, something disastrous happens. So I was able to recognize that it wasn't going to go correctly and adjust accordingly.
Usually the biggest risk factor in World 4, in 2-4, is just where the boomerang bro is positioned as you're making your way through those leaps, because sometimes he can just kind of surprise you while he's off screen, and then you just have to react in that moment. Definitely throw you off your groove, and then just kind of you just accidentally fall into a pit pretty easily.
Yeah, that's a good point. It's about even right now, because Mitch has got to do this screen transition, so yeah, we'll see him probably be just about matched up. Mitch is going to have a slight lead, obviously, and then Zikubi's going to have to grab the Fire Flower. As I mentioned previously, it's not a big deal. It's not going to really affect what you do in this boss in terms of fire killing. He does a slightly different pattern where he'll run into the gap and then fire his wand, but functionally, you don't do anything different from what you would normally do.
Ideally, from what I've experienced, the ideal pattern would be for Morton to just continue walking forward, and he'll just fall right into that first gap for a couple seconds, and that'll be a pretty convenient way to just land 4 to 6 shots on him.
Yeah. Yeah, they actually, the pattern Zikubi is going to get, most people find to be easier than the standard pattern you get. So there are players that intentionally damage boost in order to get this pattern. But yeah, Mitch actually got some pretty good RNG in World 2 there. His Hammer Bro that he used the star on moved forward, so he was able to take him out a little faster than Zikubi, and then his other Hammer Bro moved backwards, and also he got a few movements of one where Zikubi's Hammer Bro kind of decided to go between the castle for a bit and lose him a little additional time there, so able to turn that into a bit of a lead here. So yeah, he actually got a weird Morton pattern. He got the movement of 2 warpless pattern for some reason. I've had that happen to me as well, for some reason on that screen scroll pattern. It's pretty rare that it happens, but what do you know? Coming out in the grand finals here.
Yeah, whenever you get the Morton pattern where he just shoots his wand right out of the gate, you have very little time just to react in order to get the strat down on command. Because you have to fire those first 2 shots as soon as you touch the ground in order for them to reach his hitbox as he falls into that gap, and then you have to jump on him and then finish off the last 7 shots when he's in that shell state.
Yeah, if you don't get, well, if you're not expecting that pattern that he got, it's not too tough to fire kill, but if you're not expecting it, and he definitely wasn't, then yeah, it's gonna be tough.
So both racers are going to be coming up on 3-2. Objectively, my least favorite level, and haven't really mastered the early PSP strat for this as well. So basically, you just want to rub up against the left-hand side and then wait for the first wooden platform to hit where it switches to the left, and then just want to move forward and then land flush with all the platforms that are going to be coming up. And then, if you're lucky and you don't get frame rolled, you'll be able to get early P-speed and then just ride along those cheap-cheeps in the water and then make your way over to the exit.
Yeah, both runners actually executing it perfect there. Pretty hard strat, so not getting it once you go for it, usually you end up taking some damage, so you lose a pretty significant amount of time. So neither runner wanting to take some damage there, and as such, they're pretty much synced up here. Probably about, I don't know, second difference maybe.
I'd say slightly less than a second. It's really, really close. So they're coming up on 3F now. So as soon as the runners get P-speed, they want to make their way past the Thwomps and then make sure they make their way over to door 6, which will lead them straight to Boom Boom. Periodically, you'll see runners try to enter door 3, which would ordinarily lead you straight into the water. But if the player is able to press up on the first frame in which they have control over Mario, they can re-enter that door in midair and then go straight to Boom Boom that way. It's a very risky shortcut that'll, with a pretty pretty small time save. I want to say about 2 or 3 seconds.
So yeah, it looks like Mitch is going to get 2 water battles here from the Hammer Bros, which is not exactly what you want. It's not so bad if you get a lower pattern, so we'll see if he's able to get one, and he does. So this is like, if you're on the land battle and you get an upper pattern, it's essentially the same. So getting a little bit of luck there with the RNG, thankfully, but yeah, 2 water battles is definitely something you don't want to see in World 3 when you're playing 100%.
So they're both on 3-5 now. It's one of the easier levels in the game if you have a P-Wing equipped. It's just a matter of flying over the water and then timing your jumps that they're landing on every platform to ensure that you have plenty of surface space to run on, and then optimize your speed accordingly. Have no problem at all. 3-4, they're gonna be coming out of 3-5 with that extra tail, so they could just damage boost as soon as they can for that early P speed, and that'll allow them to run for the rest of the stage while steering clear of the Goombas and Spinies along the way. I just want to make sure that you carefully measure your jumps, because landing on that upward slope can cause you to come to a dead halt, and without that speed you won't be able to make the height that's needed to clear that water gap that's right in the beginning. You don't have to get a Fire Flower as you normally would if you took damage in Warpless, so they'll be able to pick up another Fire Flower in 3-6 along the way, and it won't be any time lost since it is an auto-scroller.
Yeah, both runners actually getting in the stage 15:55, it looks like, at 15:54, which is a fantastic run. That's essentially a world record pace. Obviously, there's a lot of stuff that has to go right from this point, but generally what you're looking for here for a good run is a sub 15:55 in this level, so really great runs right now for both guys.
Without a doubt. 3-6 is one of the more fun auto-scrollers to mess around with. It's a nice cool-off period to grab the fire as right in the beginning, as I had mentioned. An opportunity to shoot at a couple Koopas along the way. It's one of the more noteworthy levels in the game to highlight some graphical glitches as well, like you could turn the item boxes blue or the donut lips green. And again, it's another opportunity just to keep a close eye on your coin count as well. Be careful of the spinner that's right at the end, since one careless jump can cause you to be thrown right to your death.
Yeah, it's the worst jump in the game, honestly. Like, it's just awful. And it only saves like a second too, but you have to do it if you're going for PvP for whatever reason, just because you can just reset or whatever. But both taking a little different route here in 3-7, but essentially the end result's the same. So I mean, there might be some additional lag frames in one route versus the other, but essentially the same amount of time. Both getting the super swim here in the fortress. You definitely want to get that. If you miss it, usually it's a 2 or 3 second time loss, so they're going to be happy that they got that. Surprisingly difficult to do, even though, you know, most people at this level do it pretty consistently. And I know Zikubi usually has a really good fortress here. He's really optimal with his movement in this one. He's one of the better at optimizing this one.
He's really good at rapid firing on those swims while he's in the water, and as long as you're walking forward maybe like 1 or 2 frames right in the beginning and then do a small jump, it's pretty easy to be consistent at that power swim getting into the pipe. So
yeah, 3-8 here. Definitely don't want to get eaten by the bass. You want to jump into those ice blocks at the beginning and throw them as soon as possible and get them out of your way so you can start moving through the level. And as long as you do it, with the normal amount of speed, you won't have to worry about the boss bass. There is another strat you can do there that's even faster, that you avoid those and you do a super swim, but it's like impossibly hard.
So 3-9 is home of the first infamous H jump, so you'll see our runners build P-speed right away to maneuver past those platforms and the bombs in such a way that will position them just past those note blocks so they have enough height and distance to clear the gap no problem. It's a bit easier said than done, but if you make it, you can save a good chunk of time. I want to say about 5 to 7 seconds, and it also allows you to avoid a hefty amount of lag that could be generated by throwing those ice blocks.
Yeah, so actually really good World 3s from both of them. So, yeah, 1923 and 1925 A press on the castle is going to be fantastic. I think they're both probably happy with how this run is shaping up. They're both on that 110 pace, which means, you know, at this point you're having a really fantastic run.
When you're that closely synced, just coming out of World 3, you know it's going to be a really good race.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and there's, as we saw last run, there's so many things that can just really sway a run later on. So, unfortunately, not always under your control either.
On our third airship, we're going to be coming up on Wendy Koopa. Interestingly enough, she is one of the easier Koopa links to fire kill, but the hardest to jump kill normally. And it's an easy fire kill because you're on flat ground, and that makes it easier for you to measure your distance and then shoot the fireballs in pairs until she's down. And she's also one of the Koopa links whose patterns you don't really have to worry about too much. She can be fought the same way each time. The hammer rows are going to be done, and you're always going to be coming out of 3-9 as your last level, so you just want to, if you're going to jump kill her, however, she's going to be firing off rings with that wand that bounce around the room and never disappear until she's defeated. It's tricky enough to maneuver around them once they're there, but if she starts throwing in jump patterns into the mix, it's very easy to get caught off guard and take damage that way. So it looks like both of them were able to get the fire kills no problem, and they still maintain their relatively
Yeah, it's just 1 second difference now. Mitch's was a little quicker, so he was actually able to pick up a little bit of time in the fight. I think Zikubi goes for a faster strat in 4-1, if I remember right. I can't remember for sure, but so he might be able to pick up a second here in this level. I know Mitch does the shell grab strat, which is a second slower, but it's very consistent. You know, he always hits the strat, so yeah. And see, that's one of the risks you take. Unfortunately, Zikubi taking some damage there, so this is going to allow Mitch to actually take a lead. He's technically behind right now, but he's technically ahead because he's got his fire flower yet.
You're especially going to want to hold on to that fire flower through levels 4F1 and 4-4 if he's going to do the Maru strat that Haxer had alluded to earlier. And you also want to save those extra 3.5 to 4 seconds from the Bling Bling fight.
Zikubi actually perfectly executing the backup there. He throws the first block to get the Piranha Plant despawn, and then he jump grabs the second one. So he actually didn't lose any time there over the normal strat. So it's always nice to see that perfectly executed backup. It's actually a lot harder than it looks.
So 4-3 is one of the more aesthetically appealing levels in the run. And for the person watching. More often than less, the first Sledge Bro is going to jump right at the start, and you have the opportunity to just run right underneath him. It doesn't always happen that way. Sometimes you have to react on the spot and then just jump over him. There's enough space between you and the Sledge Bro to react to either situation. And yeah, as soon as you get to the lower section, when everything is just executed precisely, from the stomps on the Buzzy Beetles to the carefully timed jumps on those small platforms, it just looks really cool.
So yeah, as long as Mitch is able to do some optimal movement here in this fortress and maintain his fire flower, he's going to get a lead here. It's going to look like he's behind, but he did fight the Hammer Bro, so he actually does go through optimally. So Mitch is going to be in the lead probably by about 3 or 4 seconds right now. Zikubi getting a little unlucky there with the Hammer Bro movement as well, and he's going to lose a little bit of time in these Hammer Bro fights too. So this is time that Mitch is able to pick up. Unfortunately, World 4 is a world where you just don't want to take damage in at the beginning. You just lose so much time because you can't get fire really until 4 or 5 from that point. So Mitch getting the nice backup, so he didn't get P-speed at the top of the block section. And recognizing that, he did the backup there where he gets the super duper swim, as I call it, and is able to move through that level optimally from that point. So great stuff from Mitch.
The time difference between jumping on on those Sledge Bros compared to fire killing them is it's pretty minimal, but it still could add up.
Yeah, when we're comparing 3 of them versus normally it might be like 1 or something. So after you end up with 3 of them, it does actually probably make a little bit of a difference, a second or so. I can imagine. So I don't know the exact time difference, but yeah, it seems to be probably about a second. So Mitch having a bit of a lead here. He also looks like he got some better hammer bro movement as well overall through this world. So there's that RNG fact that I talked about last race, where World 4 and 5 can really swing quite a bit in terms of RNG.
All right, so
yeah, Mitch making his way through 4-6 here. He decided to do 4-5 first, just because the Hammer Bros sent him that direction. So, in order to move optimally on the world map and lose the least amount of time, he decides to do 4-5 first. Ideally, he would prefer to do this level first, just as I mentioned last race. In case he takes some damage. Looks like he doesn't get the early P speed here in the fort. So Zikubi's got an opportunity here to gain a little bit of time back.
Looks like Mitch did a really good job just setting himself up, but the P meter just said no.
Yeah, it's one of those things. You probably jumped like 1 pixel early, right? He just didn't get, he probably missed like 1 arrow build or something. P speed, the P meter's fickle. It is what it is. But yeah, really good World 4 from him. Pretty minor mistakes, I would say. And actually, Zikubi had a good World 4 as well. It was just, unfortunately, he took that damage in 4-1, and that accounted for all the time lost that and Hammer Bro RNG. So there's not much you can do, unfortunately, when that happens.
I think he was able to gain back a little bit of time by getting the early P speed in the fort, and yeah, it had a little bit of disadvantage just because he had to pit stop for that Fire Flower in 4 or 5, but even then, moving forward, he didn't really have any additional complications, so it's still a very close race.
Yeah, I think you're right. Usually when you take damage where he did, you lose about 10 seconds roughly, but he got some pretty bad Hammer Bro movements, so... And get your resident sleepers out, guys, for the, I guess, the NyQuil stage. But yeah, if you want to make a quick bathroom break, want to get some snacks, this is definitely the time to do it. One of the longer stages in the game, as we mentioned last time, it moves at half the speed of a speeding auto-scroller, despite being, the normal length of most of these shorter early game auto-scrollers. But yeah, it does clock in at a bit over 2 minutes here. And yeah, just trying to stay active in the stage, and we'll see a jump here off this flamethrower. Mitch is gonna try to execute, and even if he misses it, you can make it through this other flamethrower section, without too much trouble, but it's a lot more stressful than necessary, so you definitely want to hit that one when you can, as I mentioned last race.
Looks like Mitch had a little bit of complications with Iggy just now. Yeah, even though you're going to get the same pattern each time with 100%, it's very, just because of the timing in which he shoots his wand, it's very tricky just trying to get the 3rd and 4th fireball into him when you're jumping in, when you're making a small jump. So it is possible that you'll have to get 1 extra shot on him when he's in that shell state, and it's a bit easier said and done when he's in the air to catch him.
Yeah, so you're exactly right. What happened there is Mitch missed one of his first 4 fireballs, so he had 7 into him, and he was going to try to ride the shell in the air, and unfortunately, Iggy said no, and threw him across the map. So not much you can do about that. It's essentially RNG, what that shell does to you, so...
Even if you do miss it and you do have a little extra time on that fire kill, it's still, I think, a tad bit faster than the normal jump kill anyway.
Oh yeah, absolutely. It was his kill was still definitely faster than jump killing by probably a second or so. neither runner clipping into the blocks on this stage, which you always like to see. I don't know. It seems to happen to me sometimes, and it's probably the worst thing ever.
That definitely happened to me with that second Piranha level when I was with the hammer suit. So.
Oh, you clipped into the music block. That's probably my least favorite block to clip into. You just lose all speed whatsoever.
I was planning on riding that that note block just to clear the gap to make my way over to the pipe for the mushroom chest, and then there I just wasn't able to make the distance and then just fell right into the Piranha.
Yeah, unfortunately, it's not an uncommon mistake. So yeah, it happens. I've been there. You know, eventually you'll get comfortable with it, and it won't happen. But meanwhile, they're making their way through 541, which to me is one of the scarier levels in the game. I just hate that first jump. I always feel a lot of relief once it's over, to be honest with you. Just because if you miss it, mess up anything, you miss an A input, you're going right into the lava, right in that ragu.
More often than less, you will be able to clear it no problem, but when it does happen, it just kind of takes you by surprise. So I've definitely been guilty of having complications with that.
Yeah, and it's just a straight up reset from that point usually. Unfortunately, when you're in a race, you don't have that luxury. So Mitch with a really great 5-3 there. As you mentioned last race, very technical stage, the most technical in World 5, I would say. You definitely want to maintain this P-speed all the way to the end because it's a very long stage, so any P-speed loss is actually a really significant time loss in this stage.
Pretty swaggy turn back we saw from Zikubi as he was making his way down the vertical pipe. Normally you would bump into that wall in order to buffer your P meter as you're making your way out. But it looks like he was still able to hold on to it nevertheless.
Yeah, basically he didn't touch the pipe for a single frame, or really just the first frame he entered it. He first frame he touched the pipe, he entered it, so that's what allowed him to maintain that P speed there. You see that same mechanic come into play actually at the end of 3-3. Meanwhile, P speed through that second room for Mitch there. Definitely important for that to happen. Unfortunately, Zikubi missing the entry of that pipe there. Pretty common mistake, I would say. Gonna lose a bit of time here, but won't be too much overall. Mitch actually maintaining P speed in the fifth room there and all the way to the end here. It's actually kind of scary when you have P speed all the way to the end when you don't expect it. So getting the rare 281 pipe out of that level. So not something you see very often at all, actually.
Yeah, Mario games and jank vertical pipes name a more iconic duo.
Right? Sometimes that pipe's just like, nah, you're not going in, buddy.
You smack in the center and they'll still reject you for no reason.
Zikubi getting the P-speed jump out of the horizontal pipe there. That's actually a one-frame trick. So he had the first frame, he's able to jump there. He pressed jump and was able to maintain his P-speed. Nice little time save.
They were both able to get the early P-speed in 5-5 as well, so that'll save them about a second and a half.
Yeah, 281 pipe is referring to the time. You only get that time if you play the level like pretty much perfect. Like it's really hard to get. It's something you don't usually see. So, meanwhile, looks like Mitch choosing the cloud over some levels here to take out this hammer bro as soon as possible. I think it's a good decision. You don't want him to move to that castle like we saw in his last run, so he's taking some precaution here to prevent that. Unfortunately, it's going to force him to do some extra overworld movements, but you know, overall, it's going to be the better decision.
A little disappointed we didn't see any Jesus clips this tournament.
Yeah, we needed to call up Svenne and get him out of there.
I was actually tempted to do it in my last race, but my hands were just like so tight on the controllers, like, no, don't do it.
Louis mentioning you can get a 283, but nobody actually ever going for that whatsoever under any circumstances, so ignore him, chat. Louis doesn't know what he's talking about. He's only second place. So yeah, nice P speed from Zikubi in 5.7 here. As I mentioned before, you definitely want to keep it there. Saves a pretty significant chunk of time.
One thing I noticed that in some of these levels, they rub against the pipe as they're exiting it so they can maintain the P speed as they're making their way over to the card.
Yeah, that's a good point. Definitely want that to happen. Unfortunately, if you clip into the pipe a little bit, you lose your P speed. But yeah, you want to do those small jumps to get P speed on the other end of the pipe. And we'll see Mitch's attempt here at 5.7. So I didn't notice. Did Zikubi take out his hammer bro already?
I didn't see.
Because if he did, it looks like he made up a significant amount of time just because of RNG. And yeah, sure enough, RNG pretty much squared the race here, so...
Yeah. 5.8, there's no... again, pretty straightforward in terms of execution. It looks a little bit intimidating to go through casually, especially with the Spiny and the Lagatoo that are above you, and the Koopas that are in front of you on those cloud platforms. However, it's pretty easy to build those P speed by the time you reach the end of the third platform, and then carry through to the rest of the levels with the series of small jumps. And then once you reach the platform after the second red Koopa, you can do one big leap that will bring you right in front of the exit. And you want to duck as you're leaping just to ensure that your hitbox doesn't come in contact with the Lagatoo that's swimming right above you.
And now we're entering objectively the second best level in the game after 1.4, 5.9. As I mentioned previously, the only one that scrolls like this, well, actually, no, 6.2 does as well, but it's kind of weird. In the randomizer community, they remove the auto-scroll on a lot of these auto-scroller levels, but they can't on this one without breaking the game. So one of the few levels that just you have to have auto-scroll for some reason.
And again, so with everything else... Sorry?
Oh, sorry. I was going to say about 1 second difference, it looks like, between the two. So Mitch having a slight lead right now. But obviously we're getting to the point where, you know, this is where the men are separated from the boys.
Without a doubt. So, yeah, since everything will... since all the Hammer Bros were cleared on the map and 5.9 was the last level they each played, they're both going to get the same Roy pattern as well.
Yeah, it's worth noting that, as I mentioned, Mitch got significantly worse RNG. He lost about... They actually didn't have many execution differences. I'd say Mitch actually played a little better because he had a better tower. So he probably lost about 10 seconds to RNG, it looks like. But he did get a lot of luck here in World 4 too, so it about evens out, but...
So they're coming up on Roy Koopa now. I imagine this is going to be pretty free for both of them.
Going for the off-screen wand grab. Neither person getting it there. Pretty tough trick. Got to do a wall jump there and time the wand coming down to grab it off screen. Saves about 4 seconds or so. So it's definitely something you want to be able to do, but there's an RNG element, an execution element. It's pretty tough to do.
The 4-second time save is attributed to the fact that when you do the off-screen grab, you do a little bit of a screen wrap, so the game thinks you're on the very bottom, even though you're on the upper end of the screen. So it's a good way to bypass the together. (6.1) is pretty technical right off the bat for the beginning of this world. I want to time their jump according. They do a bit of a turn back and then just snipe out that first Patui. And then, depending on where it's positioned before it's shot, will serve as a good visual cue for when to jump in order to land on the question mark block. especially considering it likes to move from left to right, and it's not consistent every time you enter the level. So once you have those initial steps set up, everything else just falls right into place with the subsequent series of large and medium jumps that will allow you to dodge the rest of those spiny eggs.
Yeah, both runners in 6-2 here. Mitch opting to use one of his unused music boxes. He's probably grown tired of the Hammer Bros and their shenanigans, so he's saying, I'm putting you boys to sleep, leave me alone. So doing this level, and then he'll come back and ensures him a movement of 1 from the hammer, and he'll just take out the hammer prior to going to the fortress. So yeah, he chose to play 6-3 first there. But yeah, it's a good point. The fastest path is actually do 6-1, then 6-2, and then go to 6-3, ideally. So sometimes that hammer decides to move, kind of how he did on Zikubi's screen there, and you kind of want to prevent that from happening. So that's why you know, people choose to do 6-3 first on occasion.
6-3 is a level you don't commonly see P-Speed utilized too much. More often than less, it's treated as 4-5 in the sense that you're just doing a lot of platform jumping from left to right and then avoiding death. Every once in a while, you'll see runners, as Haxon mentioned, go for a P-Speed strat that involves building the meter, running across those small gaps between the ice tiles. It doesn't always happen, though.
So yeah, Mitch getting a bit of a long movement there, and that actually allows Zikubi to take a little bit of a lead here. So RNG coming out to play right now. And we actually saw Zikubi got frame ruled in 6-3 as well, so that's just the P-Speed check happened over one of the gaps as he's trying to get P-Speed.
Mitch had a very slightly faster star kill on Boom Boom.
Yeah, it looks like about 2-second difference, so I think Mitch got a movement of 6, actually, unfortunately for him. It's the Hammer Bros just doing what they do best, assassinating runs. Zikubi getting the early P-Speeder, so he's going to gain an additional second or so in this level, so it'll be about a 3-second difference, but, you know, pretty negligible time difference at this point.
Mitch has 2 flower cards set up on the bottom right, so you might want to be a little bit more careful on how he approaches this next level.
Yeah, it's a good point. There's really no good thing for him to do right now other than just kind of go at it and hope he's going to get a mushroom, because even if you turn back, you're still really likely to get a flower anyway, so yeah, there's just nothing. I think you just go for it and hope for the best.
More often than less than just running with full P-Speed will give you a better chance of a star than turning back with a mushroom in these sort of situations. Be wrong though.
Yeah, much better. Yeah, much better 6-6 that time from Mitch. So able to remedy his mistake and does get the mushroom. So that is pretty big. He did do a hammer bro, so that is most of the time difference here between the 2 runners. So it isn't as much of a difference as it appears. It's probably like 4 seconds, maybe 3 or 4 at this point.
So Zikubi had a little bit of good RNG with the next one just going right after another.
Yeah, that is true. It's actually about 5 seconds entering the Hammer Bro level, and unfortunately Mitch having to go a little bit out of his way to take out that Hammer Bro. So World 6 RNG just not quite swinging his way right now, but there's a level coming up soon, you know, that one level that does the thing where you go in the wall and or in the door if it hates you.
also see a potential 2 to 4 second time swing depending on how the early P-speed strat goes down in level 610.
Yeah, that's a good point too. There's definitely that hard execution stage still left. So, and believe it or not, depending on how clean your 6-port 2 is, that can make a significant difference in time. So, you can definitely see some time swings in those couple stages. So yeah, Zikubi with a nice P-speed build there. He's going to be able to do the stage pretty optimally as a result. Mitch also getting the fast build, maybe even slightly faster. Does rub on the block there, so a little less optimal movement, but still pretty good. So not going to be a significant time difference between the two.
They both get the block rub. I didn't see Mitch.
Oh yeah, Mitch got he rubbed the block as well, so yeah, looks like about 5 seconds still between the two. Mitch getting a lot of lag there. You can really get a lot of lag at the beginning of that stage. It doesn't seem really consistent. It's all dependent on, it seems like, where you throw that block, and it's hard to throw it in the exact same spot in the exact same time.
Never seen anyone do what Zikubi did just now, where he just grabbed the ice block over the H platform and then just clear a path to those 3 nippers were right in front of him. So I don't know if he's saving time from like reduction or not.
Yeah, I think it's just it's just a safer thing, if anything. Allows you to get through there without having to worry about avoiding him. I mean, not that, you know, taking damage there is a huge deal, but it is a bit of a time loss.
He gets the early P-speed strat. We'll see if Mitch follows suit, which he does.
Mitch with the nice turn back there, recognizing that he was going to be a little short of that platform, so heads up play there. Or, sorry, a little long on that platform, I mean. So yeah, both maintaining that fire out of that level and not taking a death, which is the key.
They both got a 294 door, so they played that first room in 6F3 pretty much as well as you could. Jumping under the door and then just bypassing the boo room altogether.
So yeah, it looks like about 6 seconds difference between the two right now. Some pretty good runs coming out here. Be interested to see if we do see a fire kill coming out in this World 6 boss, considering how close the race is, or if they'll opt to try their luck at 7-1 and let it kind of decide how things shake out going forward. So yeah, World 6 airship here. Not a super long airship, actually. Can be kind of treacherous, but you know, when you play it enough, you don't have to worry about too much in terms of damage or anything. Looks like Mitch gonna opt to try for this clip there. Does not get it. Doesn't actually save any time, just makes the level a bit safer because you can avoid the flamethrowers here. Although if you do it too early, you can get squashed by the right side of the screen. So.
Speaking of that screen that Zikubi's on, where that last flamethrower is, I actually did accidentally get crushed on that when I was on a PB pace by like 8 seconds.
Oof.
So, yeah, as easy as that autoscroller is, you always have to be careful. You can't really just fall asleep on that.
Yeah, so both opting to just stop him there, and I think it's pretty justifiable at this point. there's so many other things that can go wrong but you definitely don't want to lose the run. You can't really, like, neither runner can win the run there, but you can definitely lose it.
Was coming up on 7-1, which we were mentioning before. So when you do enter the doorway, you would ordinarily have to climb a series of time-consuming pipes to make your way past the power koopas and piranha plants. A clean playthrough the old-fashioned way will take about 50 seconds to complete. But as an alternative, you'll commonly see runners clip through the wall right above the doorway, and by into the bottom left pixel of the tile, you can clip into the wall, as we saw both our racers do. So if first try, it'll save them 36 seconds over the conventional path. And then it's usually after about 16 to 17 attempts that you've pretty much broken even with the normal path. 18 plus attempts, you'll definitely lose time.
Should be about a 12-second difference right now, because it was 5th try for Mitch and 2nd try for Zikubi, so Zikubi able to extend his lead a little bit there. But this one is much tighter than last time, so it's definitely going to come down to execution here at the end of the game. Once you're really out of that level, it's really going to be execution that decides it.
They could definitely maintain their time difference if they both opt to do 7-9 with the P-Wing. I don't know, they could change their mind somewhere in between now and then.
Yeah, actually, in that stage too, you know, whoever gets the gap clip and whoever doesn't could actually decide the race, which is kind of strange to say. It's normally just a 5-second difference, but with a race this close, yeah, that could be a big deal.
And if they are devoted to doing the Peace-Wing strat in 7-9, they also want to make sure they don't take damage with from the Raccoon Tail in 7-4. A little extra time just trying to doing a little bit of rerouting in that.
So Mitch can pick up a couple seconds here in this stage by grabbing that Koopa shell. Zikubi unfortunately missed, so yeah, he should be able to gain a couple seconds back here, assuming he has good movement through this part of the stage, and looks like he does. So that's going to be big for him going forward to get these little bit of time saves when Zikubi makes some execution errors.
Yeah, we see them both that last block with the shell, similar to what we saw in the pyramid, where you could just run and break the bottom and then skid by without taking any damage, because you do have a slight window of invincibility as if you're really close to a shell that's ricocheting.
So yeah, it does look like Mitch picked up a little over a second in the last level there with that good movement. So I got 11 seconds difference between the two right now. So this one's really tight. So yeah, it's going to be important for both of them to not take damage here and avoid these bloopers and these cheeps. I know last time both of them had a little trouble in this level, so we'll see if the spawns are a little kinder this time around.
I know that the blooper was really sneaking up on Zikubi in that jellyfish tunnel that we just saw him pass, and I know that Mitch took damage twice towards the end of the level, so it looks like they're skidding right by with less complications this time.
Yeah, for sure. Zikubi getting the good pattern that you want to see, where that the bloopers just both move the direction you're facing, so you can just get them off screen real fast. And unfortunately, this one's coming at Mitch, so he's probably going to get a little extra lag here for his effort.
I think those sea creature spawns are RNG as well, so you just want to make sure they don't block your path as you're trying to make your way to the exit pipe as well.
So yeah, this time we'll get to see some more optimal strategies coming out in this section of the world, because both of them will be able to maintain this tail. So we'll see the star strat coming out. It allows you to do this stage a little faster with the tail, actually, because you can just flutter over that gap a lot easier than jumping Big Mario, actually. It's one of the few spots where you get a little time save.
So now that we're finishing off 7F1, we'll be entry with the P-Wing in 7.6.
So yeah, now we're moving into the easiest stage in the game. 7.6 here. You just fly over it, never see the inside of that level. Nor would you want to. It's a really long level. Even if you do it optimally, it takes about, I think, 1:09 if I timed it right. And we get another look at 7.8 here. So, as I mentioned previously, he wants optimal movement here in 7.8 in order to draw a good fire nipper pattern at the end. So he can't rub on any of the pipes. He doesn't want to take any damage, and he has a perfect stage there. So,
Oh no!
Mitch, unfortunately, yeah, shorting the jump there. So, be interested to see what he decides to do. He decides to go back in the stage. He could have opted to do 7.7 as well. I do know he is, you know, fairly well versed in a backup there without a star because he was doing 1 warp attempts, and you do that stage without a star and 1 warp. So he's deciding to, yeah, getting that hammer suit. So
to maintain his P-speed out of the pipe, but he does run off, so he's going to be a little more cautious here past the fire nipper.
Yeah, unfortunately, Hammer Suit does lose a bit of time in this category, so I'm not entirely sure what he's going to decide to do in these levels here. Looks like he's going to go for the clip in this level. Oh my goodness. Wow, he gets a first try. So second and first try in 7.7. That, even if you do that stage optimally, that's a 1 in 7 chance. So, I mean, unbelievably good luck in that stage at the very least. We'll see how his 7.9 clips go. This could get very interesting if he has good clips here. Having a little trouble with that first clip. Looks like he's jumping maybe a little early. Does make it out of there. Meanwhile, Zikubi speeding his way through 7F2 here. Yeah, unfortunately, Mitch is in a spot, too, where he has to clip. Because he's stuck in that spot, so... looks like he's going to opt to go over the gap here. Gets the gap clip first try, so he's going to lose, unfortunately, a bit of time in that level. But this is a much closer race than last time, actually, so it's going to be a little over a stage between the two. So if any mistakes are made here and towards the end of this run, could make all the difference.
Without a doubt, we could also potentially see another death in 8-1, or where if Zikubi takes a little bit of damage towards Bowser and has to do the traditional kill by just breaking the floor. That could give Mitch an advantage to run things back. 7F2 without any problems, though.
Oh, unfortunately, didn't quite scroll the screen fast enough to get the boom boom snipe there, but still a really great 7F2. I can tell you, he probably hasn't done that with a hammer in a very long time, so relying on that muscle memory there. And getting a nice swag clip at the end of the second Piranha Plant level there. So, kind of a mixed bag in terms of clips there for him. Got some really good stuff, and then unfortunately those first 2 clips in 7.9 definitely set him back quite a bit, but pretty good recovery getting that clip in 7.7 first try. That was almost made up for his mistake in the previous level.
Because the Koopalings are invulnerable to the hammer suit, Zikubi will have an opportunity to get a little extra time if he decides to go for the fire kill on Ludwig.
Yeah, so at this point, there definitely has to be some interesting developments. You know, as chat mentioned, Bowser could be kind of a jerk, and there's nothing you can do if he fires a certain fireball if you're fire killing him, and that could definitely swing the race. But you know, as we saw last run, Zikubi did die in 8-1, so there is potential here for Mitch to gain a pretty significant amount of time. So yeah, the time difference isn't going to be as big as it appears, because as being mentioned, it is faster to kill Bowser with the hammer suit. But that being said, Zikubi does have a pretty significant advantage here. It's about 7 seconds difference roughly between a fire kill and a hammer kill.
Plus, if you go through 7F2 optimally and you're able to get that early kill on Boom Boom, that I think about 2 seconds faster than the Fire Flower route that Zikubi normally takes. And you'll have a slightly cleaner pathway through 8-2, especially since you can knock out the Angry Sud and then just not have to do any turn backs with the piranhas and the going uphill.
Yeah, that's a good point. You get a little quicker kill on each of the Boom Booms for the rest of the game, and you don't get the opportunity at Boomerangless here in this first auto-scroller, which is a 2-second time save that fire can get. So, but yeah, really the main time saves if you decide to go fire are the boss kill and getting Rangless from this point. Yeah, both runners making it into this first auto-scroller here. We get our nice 5 consecutive minutes of auto-scrollers, the most exciting moment in Mario 3 gaming.
Such a relief just starting World 8 when you have a Fire Flower or a Hammer Suit, so you don't have to grab a Fire Flower on the Navy ship. You have to reach in order to get to that question mark block in time.
Yeah, the boat fire grab is no fun. I don't think anybody enjoys that strat at all. So, I mean, obviously, if you need it, you need it. But yeah, it's definitely a relief not taking damage on Ludwig for sure. So yeah, making his way through the boat is Zikubi. We'll see if he goes for boat swag again this time. He was rewarded last time with 3 hands for his boat swag, so if the gods were not pleased with his boat swag, or there are no boat swag gods, which I believe is the case. Here's the moment. Is he gonna do it? Does he believe? He still believes in it. Get some good boat swag there. So we'll see. We'll see if he's rewarded by the hands with no hands or all 3 this time. Now, I mean, obviously he's got to play all the hands anyway, but he did get grabbed by all 3 of them last time, so he lost 4.5 seconds because of that over no hands. And he does skip the first hand, so nice little 1.5 second time save. You'd love to see that in your speedrun. Has a little trouble with the vertical pipe, but, you know, is that even surprising in Mario? I don't think it is.
You have those same complications in Mario World as well.
Oh yeah, for sure. And he gets no second hand. So are we gonna see the boat swag redemption? Is it because I called out boat swag, the gods decide to answer Zikubi's call this time? And sure enough, so if anything, boat swag is completely fair. We'll leave it at that.
So Mitch dodges the 95% hand as well.
Always a good feeling when you know, skip the first hand. And he gets pulled in by the second hand, so... he did get 2 hands last time, so if he only gets 1 this time, then they each got 3 hands total in the 2 races, so I guess overall even. And sure enough, Mitch with the 1 hand, so completely fair hands this time around. Not that it really matters in this category, but you always love to see fairness. Meanwhile, Zikubi making his way through the fast airship there. Actually, not an easy stage. I know it's an auto-scroller, but it's pretty easy to mess up some of the platforming in this one, so it always feels good when you make it out of that stage. At least it does to me.
It's especially hard to aim at those rocket wrenches when you have the hammer suit, just because they fire in that upward arch. It's definitely easier just to get the earlier jump kills on them. So you always want to make sure that you're right in the front and just getting them as soon as they pop up.
So Zikubi with the perfectly executed 8-1 there. He's smelling blood this time around. He's wanting to put this one away. We'll see if he can do it.
And if he gets hit by the Angry Sun with the Fire Flower, he has plenty of opportunities for backup in the fort. Don't even need to worry about that anyway, because he was able to clear those providers pretty efficiently. 91, definitely a good time to end off with when you have fire as well.
Yeah, absolutely. He's actually, I think he's on 110 pace right now. He might even be on PB pace. He's had a great run, actually. I don't recall any major mistake he's really made in the entire run. Was that just me, or did it look like he clipped through that first spike? That was weird. Mitch sniping the Sun in 8-2 here. And having an absolutely perfect 8-2, so he's really going to put the pressure on him here to have a good Bowser's Castle at this point.
Yeah,
very close to PB pace. Like, he's within seconds of it. This is definitely a 110 pace run.
He entered the super tank, I think, at 1:08:30, and the super tank, the scroller itself, is a minute 15 seconds, including the boom boom kill. So he'll have about 55 seconds he'll be spending in Bowser's Castle. So I would say it's very close to a 110, maybe borderline 111.
Yeah, Bowser's Castle with fire takes about... oh, and Mitch getting the overkill from the Boom Boom, so he saves a little extra time there over anything Zikubi can do, so that's beautifully executed by Mitch. Really tough strat to do, actually. So yeah, Bowser's Castle from the A-Press takes, with fire, between like 58 seconds to a minute with no clips. So, yeah, he's actually, I think he's on PB pace right now because he's got a 110.46. So, if Zikubi can pull off a great Bowser's Castle here, he's gonna PB by a couple seconds. and he gets the clip. So definitely, if he has a perfect rest of Bowser's Castle, we're gonna see. Oh no, probably feeling some nerves there on the stairs. Good recovery though. I think overall he didn't lose any time there because he got the clip. So still on pace, I think, the PB. So he's just got to get through this room here with some P speed and take out the big man quickly here. So looking at, I think this is, yeah, he doesn't worry about the Bowser there, and it looks like he's gonna PB by about like 3 or 4 seconds. So
Holy crap!
GG to Zikubi.
Congratulations, Zikubi.
Unbelievable run.
Seen in this whole tournament, and of course we saved the best for last for the tassel strat here. So yeah, this is the strat that was normally used in a task where you would normally enter with the star to get the most efficient path, and you just want to clip into that back wall, and it'll save you maybe a second and a half or two over clipping the hammer strat ordinarily.
Yeah, Wall giving him some trouble here. It's worth noting that Mitch's run actually was really good too, but you know, unfortunately that death in 7-8 kind of made the difference here. But yeah, what a time for Zikubi to have his best run ever. So definitely a big GG to him for finishing this one off on a high note.
Really good job.
It's over!
Joined by Mitch.
Finally! God damn!
So yeah, I don't know if you know this, but Zikubi actually PB'd in that race by 4 seconds.
I thought his PB was a 1:10:36.
It's over.
46.
Did he get a new one? It was a 46 on speedrun.com, unless he's got a new one.
I have no idea. I've got no clue then.
But yeah, I mean, either way,
Oh, shit.
obviously it's a fantastic run, and it's not that your run wasn't good either. It was just, you know, unfortunately, the main difference was 7-8 there, and you got really unfortunate RNG there in World 6, actually.
And 5, dude. I lost almost close to 30 seconds in RNG in World 5 and 6.
Oh,
That's a nightmare.
Right, it was a 1:10:36.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
Close, though. Very close. No, unfortunately, no. This is... I'm glad we finally got a 1:10, though, in the tournament.
Well, I was just mentioning before, it's the fastest time we've had all tournament, and of course we saved the best for last.
I think so, yeah.
So yeah,
7-7. Like, what is that even? Like, what?
Well, I was just mentioning before.
Yeah, I did mention that you pretty much saved the time you lost with the death getting that first try, but unfortunately you had to clip 7-9 as well.
I know, because the hammer suit, right? I didn't know what to do once. I've never died there before, so I didn't know. Like, I don't think I had anything to equip, right? Like.
Yeah, the only thing I was thinking is you were maybe going to go do 7-7 and then go P-Wing 7-9 and then come back. I think that was about the only thing you could have done, I guess.
No, but I wouldn't have been able to grab Fire Flower, right? Because like you don't want hammer suit 100%. Like I don't want to have it, but I didn't have a choice. I don't think, because the end of 7-8 is a nightmare. Small Mario.
Yep.
I didn't know if you had a backup plan with that 7-8 there with Small Mario, because you were really dancing with death by messing around with that piranha on that middle pipe. Came really close to you.
Dude, I have no backup plans, man. I don't even run this game anymore. I tried my best. I think it worked out.
Still finished off with a 111.
Yeah,
what was it?
It's like a 111.57 or something. Obviously, you lost a bunch of time with the clip too, so it would have been even faster. But
had to go for the swag, right?
Absolutely. So yeah, obviously we're joined by Zikubi. How's it going, man?
Uh-oh.
Can you hear us? Uh-oh.
No, we can't hear you.
Silly Discord and its technical difficulties. Anyway, yeah, we mentioned World 5 and 6. It was kind of interesting. You executed World 5 better, and you went in with, I think it was like an 8-second lead, and then you came out of World 5 even. Unfortunately.
Yeah, exactly, right. World 4 went really well too. I didn't get P speed in the second fort.
Well, I had push to talk on, so.
Yeah, there he is.
The hour.
Welcome.
Yeah, we got the winner in here right now.
Congratulations, Zikubi. You have any thoughts on this past run that you just did?
I don't know. I didn't think I could even do 110 in the race. I'm
speechless.
Yeah, I'm like not okay right now.
Good 110. Yeah, I was wondering. I bet he's nervous going up these stairs because you kind of bumped the ceiling there.
Yeah.
But yeah, obviously once you got in the World 8, I was like, wait, I don't really remember him making really a major mistake. I guess World 4 you lost fire, then that was pretty much it.
4-1.
You actually, yeah, I think if that didn't happen, you probably would have PB'd, which is crazy. Because I think that ended up costing about 10 seconds overall.
That sounds about right.
10 seconds. I don't know about that. The boom boom's like 2.53, right? And I didn't see him make a mistake, and then the Fireflower grab in 4-5, I think it is, right? I always get the two mixed up.
Yeah. And then each hammer, bro, he actually had to fight all three without fire too. So, and then he lost some time in 4-1 as well, just because of the damage and having the re-grab. But he actually had a really well executed 4-2. The backup strat was perfect there, so that was really nice to see. But yeah, guys, any thoughts on I guess the tournament overall and your performance on this last best of 3 here?
I mean, like everything's good, I have no idea what to say. Everything's chill, right? Like,
yeah, I'm glad that I managed to get a lot of 111s.
Yeah, did you even get a 112 the whole tournament?
Yeah, I think I got 1 or 2, but they were like low 112s.
Yeah, either way, guys, it was really fantastic to see. A lot of really cool stuff happened. Obviously, 7-7 and some of the backup stuff you guys did was amazing. And to watch you guys perform that well under that pressure is incredible. So I want to thank you guys for putting on such an entertaining show for us.
Sure, man. I want to say anytime, but I don't like 100%. So maybe in like an any percent no wrong warp next time.
Oh, the ultimate RNG tournament? That's what you
Even
want?
more RNG?
Congratulations to you both. It's really been an awesome show, and we're looking forward to seeing what you, Haxer, and Lasso and Grand Pooh Bear have on display for us coming up for SGDQ.
Oh, you just reminded me. More Mario 3.
Oh, come on, you
can't get rid of this game. It's gonna be exciting.
Yeah, obviously. Yeah, that's going to be fun. I'm looking forward to that one. And then I just want to thank GSA for putting this on for us. Obviously, a lot of work goes on behind the scenes, and we appreciate it. And it was a lot of fun. And I was really glad we got the showcase 100%. Even if you don't like it, it's really never been showcased in the tournament as far as I'm aware of.
I don't think so, no.
People were saying beforehand. So yeah. Thank you guys for that. And obviously thank everybody that's watched throughout the tournament and followed it. It's always great to have people supporting us when we're running this silly game.
This is actually the first. Yeah. This is actually the first event that I've taken place that I've actually participated in the SMB3 speedrunning community. So it's definitely been a fun experience, and I'm looking forward to any other opportunities to take part in the as the year goes on. So yeah, congratulations again to Mitch and Zikubi. Speaking of whom, Zikubi, I do believe he's going to be running a game himself at SGDQ.
Yeah, it's on the. It's like the Goofy games or something. The silly block or something.
Yeah, Laffy Taffy 3D Pyramid Challenge.
Definitely a bizarre game from what I've seen, but as far as the rest of GSA schedule is concerned, I do believe that's going to do it for us tonight. Tomorrow afternoon, they're going to be starting back up again with Super Mario Sunshine at p.m. and 7 p.m. And there's going to be the Super Mario 64 test competition at 5:30. So you're definitely not going to want to miss that. And then in the meantime, we'll be looking forward to seeing what goes on at SGDQ in the coming days. So thank you all for watching. It's been a lot of fun.
Yeah, well, take it easy, guys.
Great, guys.
Thanks for having me.
My pleasure. Have a good night, everyone.